Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to explain what Metaverse Markup Language is and why it matters.
Yeah, why we witnessed like the new era, I think.
Yeah, this is it.
This is it, yeah. So
we're going to transition from a 2D internet to a 3D internet.
Yes, and if you guys have been listening to us over the years, since we got involved in the Metaverse space back in 2019, it's always been our personal passions, personal missions to basically figure out how to get to this step.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've had mostly Decentraland to deal with as far as like what is a open metaverse, like what that looks like.
Yep.
And there's tons of technical dilemmas, lots of infrastructure problems, all these neighboring metaverses that are starting to spin up. Like, why is nothing deployable in here and there? Everything's isolated, right? So these are core dilemmas to the metaverse space.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been talking about more recent days. We're definitely in that infrastructure era. So it's very important to figure out who or what entities, what companies, projects, whatever, communities are contributing towards the infrastructure layer of the metaverse. So we always knew M Squared is going to be in that running because of this announcement they made about a year ago, $150 million raise.
Almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like a couple of days off.
Yeah.
So they caught our radar around this time last year because of this announcement.
Yeah.
And they had like a couple one-liners that were very interesting, right? It's like, we're going to build an interconnected network of metaverses.
That's right.
And that's about all they said about M2.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like in our bucket.
That's right.
So you got to solve something over the weekend, though, to actually finally demonstrate it.
Yeah, so let's preface this with a tweet before this I guess, reveal. So Rob, he's one of the co-founders of Improbable and M Squared. So Improbable is the company that raised a ton of money before building I guess an update to kind of how you do networking for like experiences. And so now you're able to have thousands of characters on screen all at once.
Correct. Yeah, we made a video last week about that, right?
Yeah.
The other side trip. So that was a demonstration of something they call Morpheus, which is that network communication thing you're talking about.
That's right.
To enable tens of thousands, theoretically, of concurrent users to be in a simultaneous space.
Yeah,
right?
and so they had a second trip, and they had a concurrent user base of 7,200, something like that.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even close to like their max capability. So he has a tweet here that kind of breaks down exactly what MML is. So Metaverse Markup Language.
Okay.
So what this is basically leverages what exists for HTML, which HTML is the most interoperable thing that exists out there. Every website runs it, right? That's how we're able to communicate with each other on the internet, right? And so what they're doing with HTML is they're adding a separate layer that allows a developer creator to manipulate new tags in HTML for 3D.
Okay.
So what does that mean? So ultimately that means that you're able to manipulate with this Metaverse Markup Language editor. You're able to manipulate the 3D model here in this editor, and it affects what happens in the metaverse in your, let's say, the front end of the experience. The front end, the front end is what everybody interacts with. That's why we have beautiful websites, beautiful apps. That's the front end.
Yeah.
The new front end is going to be in the metaverse in 3D. And so now you're able to manipulate content via an interface for the front end. So we have that, and the kind of valuable thing here is that now developers and creators can start editing and developing on one code base that will now be deployable in multiple metaverses.
Wow.
So sort of like our thesis, our sort of existence is to build things where developers can create one piece of content, deploy multiple worlds.
Yes.
And now that we have a framework where that can happen.
Yeah, so this is the beginnings of that, right?
Yeah.
This is obviously something like in the realms of I don't know. We've seen other like tech products, I guess you'd say, that require industry-wide adoption, right? So this is like an example of a good standard for the metaverse space, right? If you're a developer, you're gonna have options, right? Either you build your own ecosystem, or your own metaverse, like independent of any outside assistance from any existing tool base. Or you tap into one that has all this already like laid out in front of you.
Yeah.
And the benefits of doing that is there's probably other developers leveraging these same tool sets. So now you have like a network, an ecosystem of collaboration and deep liquidity within an economy. Like that's the goal, right?
And there's already integration, right? HTML is very foundational, and so now they're just adding additional functionality to it.
Well, this is a Game Boy. What is this?
Yeah, so imagine that this is a game that's running on a server, right? The functionality of the game is running on a server.
Yeah.
The front end is basically a 3D model of a Game Boy, and the screen acts as the interface for that game. And so now you just kind of build in buttons, and all of a sudden you can have multiple thousands of people playing the exact singular experience of this Game Boy experience.
Yeah.
All like, and basically you're gonna see like the little characters just making circles because everybody's clicking on the same buttons, right?
Yeah.
But the whole point is that you can run a game on a server, connect that server's functionality to a front end experience like a Game Boy, take that front end experience, which is typically a 2D, bring that to a 3D space for the metaverse, and now all of a sudden you have a Game Boy in the metaverse.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it that you can actually manipulate with this MML, like as far as this Game Boy goes? You know, like you can't really.
You can pretty much do anything. You can make any game that you can think of, right?
Okay.
Any game that can interact with 10,000 players, like you could do it, right? Because but you need a separate server with the game logic, and then you build in a front end, which the front end could be zombies.
Yeah.
Part of the game is you're holding a weapon, you're shooting at the zombie, right? You have to calculate everything, right?
Yeah.
And you can add economics and all that stuff. So
wow.
Yeah, it's all here.
So this is definitely this is good news, especially for us, because we were definitely there was not much as far as details went, like what M Squared is working on, but we knew based on the money, this is the biggest like entity in the open Web3 metaverse space, right?
That's right.
Probably the most likely candidate to be up in, actually Herman Narula himself calling like Mark Zuckerberg out on things.
Yeah.
Pretty much declaring like it's a war between these two entities, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to provide the infrastructure and supply, I guess, like a foundational basis for developers to tap into the metaverse, right? So,
so this tweet came out, and Herman Narula quote tweeted it, and he was like, "Hey, let's jump on a space so we can explain this on Twitter Spaces."
That's what happened over the weekend.
Yeah. So this happened on Sunday. So I thought it was a little weird that it was on a Sunday, but anyway, it happened on a Sunday. So I was listening. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to tweet a link. Everybody just click on that link, and let's get off of Twitter Spaces."
Yeah.
And have a video of what that looks like. So what you're looking at here, I'm finally, I'm wired in, right? I'm connected into the metaverse, and then I see all these people. I was like, whoa, okay, so this is cool, right? So I'm kind of like colliding with people, so there's collisions with each individual person.
Yeah.
And then you see this red box. So kind of let me jump forward here, and so here it goes.
Okay, so they're live streaming. Somebody is actually on the editor, right? The MML
somebody's
editor.
on the editor. Yeah. And so he just made the box a little bit taller, right? He moved it up. And so he's going to start manipulating the box some more, and he's just using the editor, right? This is not there's not an interface in the metaverse where you could do this, which you can just build it in if you want, but really this is more powerful as an editor for the developer to start, do cooler stuff rather than just like move boxes around.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he's just manipulating stuff, and then he's asking everybody to react. It's like, do you think this is cool? It's like everybody's agreeing, like this is great.
So how are they showcasing the fact that, because the real golden applicability to all of this, anything that any technology for the metaverse is being spun up, is how is what's being, I guess, implemented on the code base for this specific asset, which was that Square? Where is it being applied anywhere else to like another environment tapped into the same, infrastructure base?
So
did they demo that at all?
They kind of did, but they said that you see these boxes that we're manipulating here in the world that we're in.
Yeah.
Well, there's that same box in another metaverse, and that same box is being manipulated there as well.
Was the metaverse on?
It was on screen. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was on screen. But obviously, you can't be in two places
you
at
can't.
once.
I mean, you could if you had two tabs, but like.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that as a developer,
yeah,
you're manipulating your content, your game, whatever it is that you created, in multiple locations, right?
Absolutely.
So one code base manipulates the existence
of
that in multiple worlds.
Exactly. You have an effect in two separate environments, right? And traditionally, like in the existing era, that's why it kind of feels like we entered into a new era, right? It's finally, from our perspective, this is what's been lacking all along.
Yeah.
Is like a common infrastructure, common layer of standard to tap into, so that this content is reaching across the entire metaverse ecosystem, not just
Yeah.
siloed.
Yeah,
you know?
and the biggest deal here is like, yeah, it exists in both worlds, but that's not why it's important. The reason why it's important is because as a developer, you have silos to choose from.
Yeah.
You can go into the Apple silo, the Google silo, right? Creating apps.
Yeah.
There's tons of people there, hundreds of millions of people there, and hopefully they buy your app. Or you can pick the different silos in the metaverse, right? Decentraland Sandbox.
Yeah.
You know, M Squared, CryptoVoxels,
Yeah.
all these. And when you build for those, right, you're building for each individual experience. And as a developer, you're risking your time and effort to build in one of those experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
So the ideal scenario is like, let me just build my experience and then deploy that same experience in multiple
absolutely.
locations, right? So what you're looking at here is they added DALL-E, which is OpenAI's text to image generation, right? DALL-E's back there. And then they also integrated ChatGPT. And so in the prompt, he's like, give me a goat. And it gave them some barrel. So it was just like messing up.
Oh, really?
So everybody's freaking out. It's like, oh, we got a barrel instead of a goat, right? So, and then he's going to like make the goat bigger and like it just exploded it and like it made a giant barrel. And so we're inside that barrel now.
Oh, okay. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So right now this editor is probably going to become like a ubiquitous type of, creation tool if you decide to be part of the M2 network. So that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but it's still going to be very developer heavy. This isn't like some sort of like no code builder, right? Like something.
No, it's not.
Like how, Decentraland and recent manifestos, that's their focus is to like, enable non-developers to kind of be the main contributors.
No, and if maybe for another video, Fortnite is having a similar sort of output where they're creating some no-code builder, right?
Yeah.
But that's for another video. But yeah, so the reason why you don't want to do a no-code builder is because developers have a vast amount of like flexibility, just like going in and developing, rather than like constraining that
Yeah.
to like users who are gonna build like cubes and boxes and like just.
But couldn't you like imagine though, like just based off the very primitive version of what this like V1 editor tool looks like, and the fact they're already considering AI integration, or actually they've already implemented AI integration. You don't think AI is going to get to the point where non-coders can now just literally prompt up what they want as far as like functionality and?
It's like like give me a game where I can shoot at people. It's like all of a sudden you have like a gun and then you can start shooting at people. Nothing's being registered, but there's like create me a database so that you register all the hits. And it's like now you got a game, right?
Definitely sounds complicated. How are you gonna like piece together so you could generate all these different individual components, I guess, but how are you gonna piece that all together into like a
ultimately you still need a developer to kind of put it all together and make it function. But in the future, I mean,
you can't see that happening. Right?
How many shooters are out there, right? There's a basic framework to like shoot and like record all the hits and like there's expectations, right? So you could do a no code builder for that.
Yeah.
So he's just showing off one of their older versions of Morpheus being leveraged like a couple of years ago, and he says that their technology now can do way more than this.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other things to show. So here, I'm kind of running around. I'm trying to see the limitations of the world, and then he says, "Oh, by the way, guys, there's a Easter egg somewhere out there.
Yeah.
If you can find it, you get." An NFT or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
so you start running.
So I start running, and then everybody else is running.
Well, dude, why are you so slow? You're getting smoked. What the hell is wrong with you, dude?
I mean, I didn't even know that you can hold shift to run.
Oh, okay.
And, so.
I'm sure you're trying to figure that out now.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, yeah.
You're like jumping.
It's
like, why am I so slow? And that guy had like a cool jump, and you didn't.
Yeah.
There you go. That's better.
And I pressed shift earlier, but it wasn't obvious I was running fast. But
did you have like such a lead?
I did.
But did you get the egg?
Eventually I got the egg, yeah. So, but there was already a ton of people there. So let me kind of fast forward. So I'm running through, and then there's the egg.
Like, just dancing on it.
Yeah. So
very nice, dude. Dude, that was so cool. Yeah. This is great. This is great foundationally, and we made like was it on the last podcast? We were talking about Facebook or Meta. How you are very not impressed, very like,
Yeah, right.
You're disappointed in kind of like Meta being such a foundational piece of this whole metaverse, realization.
Yeah.
and they come out and they stake so much of their own company's worth on this initiative, and then they don't show anything of real tangible, like a reason why to believe, I guess, like that they're gonna be in control and like deliver something that's so foundational, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think on M-Squared's part?
Yeah, I mean, dude, this is. I feel like this is very foundational to what we're expecting from the metaverse. I mean, I feel like if had Meta said, "Hey, we're changing our name," or Facebook changing our name to Meta, and like look at what we've built, and you show like tens of thousands of people all like, interacting with each other, playing the games, like I was like, okay, now we're talking, right? So
yeah, and like infrastructure tools and to build an ecosystem, a network.
Yeah, we got an SDK, we got tools here. You come and build with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like now this is cool,
Something that you can immediately tap into. Well, you can't immediately tap into this yet either, right?
Yeah,
this
correct.
is just in the demo stage, but of course, we knew from the beginning, like once they sold $400 million for Bored Ape Universe or the other side.
Yeah.
They declared that they're going to have a open SDK framework for that world. So that's what immediately got us interested.
And this tool is open source too. So I'm sure people are going to take it. They're going to fork it. They're going to build their own like stuff with whatever it is that they think needs to be built. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Ultimately, this is super bullish. So, I mean, what do you do from here with all this information? I think just keep your eyes on M2's development, because this is the first time they're actually showcasing anything.
Yeah.
We're definitely paying very close attention to this because it's very important. I think M2's already declared that they're going to have a token in the near future, or in the future. I don't know. They might have made those claims like, they're
tweeting about it too, right? Like we saw it in a tweet, Herman Narula's tweet talking about a token.
But that was like, I don't know, man, like SEC crackdown type shit.
No, I think that was like yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying, nowadays...
just because he tweets something doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, so...
Yeah, but that almost seems like a bad idea for them to being so public about the idea of a token so early on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, but I'm just saying, usually I wouldn't bet too much, because we saw like ZK Sync do that. They came out in their white paper doc saying they're going to have a token for sure and an airdrop at some point, and they had to pull that and remove that from their white paper. And then now they're always constantly tweeting out, it's like, no, there's no token.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is just a different climate. It's not like such a thing you can be open about these days. You can't just like throw out the word token without like an actual product yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So take that with a grain of salt, whether or not they're going to have a token. I do encourage everybody to try and qualify for like these types of demo events or whatever, because if you're going to expect a token airdrop qualifier, I would think these types of events would get you in.
Yeah.
Like if you participate in a blockchain's test net,
yeah,
that's usually how you qualify. So,
yeah, and the metaverse is a sector that we're going to be following throughout this potential bull cycle that's going to happen here pretty soon. And all this technology is relevant, especially if projects like this launch a token and all that. We got to be ready.
So what do you think, dude? Does this make my prediction of a Facebook acquisition more likely or less likely?
Dude, I think it's very aligned with what Facebook is trying to do, or Meta.
I know, like you were saying, if they were the ones to be demoing this, I think like everybody would understand the value.
Yeah, they would, and
they wouldn't have all these, all this hatred that they have right now.
Yeah,
to be like, holy shit! Like, I kind of want to, I want to go in there.
Yeah. And by the way, this is just a browser, right? I just clicked on a link, and all of a sudden, I'm with like 180 other people.
Yeah.
Right.
And this isn't even VR integrated. And what the VR thing though, like, has a different impact on the limitations of
it's
Morpheus,
just,
right?
It just takes more operations per second, because everybody's like moving their arms and stuff, and so all that data needs to be sent to your computer, right?
Yeah.
So
which is fine. I mean, you don't have to have like 10,000 people or in your field of view.
Right.
Like a few hundred would be nice.
Yeah. Just
so,
like this. Yeah.
Yeah, just like that was great. That looked fucking fantastic. So
So this is way better than a Twitter Space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Twitter Space is just audio. You're sitting on your phone, and it's like,
can you go back to that one part where like they all lined up? Like that was like, I think one of the cooler parts where because they were like, okay guys, we're gonna have a quick Q&A. But on Twitter Space, like there's a function to it where you push a button to raise your hand.
Yeah.
And that's how like the speaker activates your microphone to let you, ask your question.
Yeah.
But the metaverse version of that is an actual queue,
Yeah,
which I think is pretty cool.
It was interesting because everybody could just press the button to talk.
Yeah.
And when they were talking, everybody was just quiet.
Yeah, so it's like there's a rule, there's
respect.
an etiquette already forming. Like, yeah, that was one of the problems. Like I see, is that Bozon? No, it's Bassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, like, a real culture is like already like emerging from within this virtual world, and every virtual world is going to have obviously their own cultures and etiquettes.
Yeah, yeah, and really that's not a big deal because they can kind of control who talks if they wanted to. But they left it open, and people were just being respectful. So it was interesting.
Yeah,
you could do a lot of like scientific analysis with this stuff, like
sociology.
Social, social
absolutely.
tests and stuff.
But they're gonna have to, dude, because this basically how are humans going to, I guess, interface with one another in a virtual environment where there's no like real physical ramifications to their behavior, but still, there's probably gonna be a lot of like reputational ramifications to how they behave in virtual worlds, and that stuff can be on chain.
Yeah, imagine if we were in the 3D version of Amazon, right? You're on, instead of the Amazon website, you're in like this virtual world.
Yeah.
And like people are looking at TVs, and like you could just like stand next to them and say, "Hey, what do you think of this TV?" It's like, well, I have it. I'm going to get another one because,
Exactly.
You can't do that on Amazon, right?
No, you can't.
So yeah, that's it, man. This is the
it's exciting, man.
Very exciting.
This was reinvigorating to me. Like this.
There was a lot of negative sentiment on the metaverse. This like inversed it
to us because but still, this is very niche as far as like knowledge. That's why we're making this video. Hopefully, you guys tell your friends, tell your family. The metaverse is still on the docket. Yeah, it's coming.
It's still coming.
It's definitely coming, and it looks great from what we're seeing so far.
Yeah. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. We talked about Improbable, M Squared, MML, Metaverse Markup Language. And then also follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone.io, and at Rovi AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.